History has a way of sticking around, teaching us how far we've come, and illustrating how human nature has both changed and managed to stay the same all at once. However, sometimes embellishments and downright inaccurate events get passed down along with history, masked as factual episodes. From who built the Egyptian pyramids to what ninjas actually wore, history is filled with misconceptions and inaccurate assumptions. Have you mistaken any myths for historical facts? Watch the video and find out. Marie Antoinette's cake. The last queen of France never said, "Let them eat cake," after hearing that the starving French peasants have no bread. Catherine the Great and the horse lover. Contrary to the popular myth, the 18th century Empress of Russia did not die from having sex with an animal most commonly told to be a horse. The truth is that Catherine suffered a stroke and died quietly in her bed a day later on November 17, 1796. Jean-Jacques Rousseau's words, the French philosopher, included the quote in his autobiography, Confessions, though he attributes it to an unspecified great princess. Ninjas and their popular attire. Ninjas didn't just wear black, in fact they rarely ever wore black. A ninja was basically a mercenary or a spy in feudal Japan. The ninja was hired to carry out a myriad of functions, including espionage, sabotage, infiltration, assassination, and guerrilla warfare. And thus, they often wore plain clothes in order to hide in plain sight. Benjamin Franklin and the turkey Franklin didn't actually propose that the turkey be the national bird of the United States over the bald eagle. He did, however, expound on the merits of each bird in a letter to his daughter, in which he seems to favor the turkey. The bald eagle is a bird of bad moral character, while the turkey is in comparison a much more respectable bird. Hitler's troops and the Russian winter. Did Hitler really get beat by the Russian weather? Well, history tends to be a bit more complex than that. While the freezing temperature and muddy terrain didn't help, Hitler's defeat was a result of a series of tactical mistakes that Stalin's troops took full advantage of. The Great Wall of China from space. The Great Wall isn't the only man-made structure seen from the moon. In fact, being only 30 feet wide, around 9 m, and a similar color to its surroundings, the wall is barely seen from the moon. American Indians' lifestyle. The native peoples of the Americas were not all hunter and gatherers by the time Europeans arrived. Although some were, the majority had already developed into agricultural societies. Who built the Egyptian pyramids? Evidence suggests that the pyramids were the work of slaves. Tombs discovered nearby the famous pyramids are believed to have belonged to the people who worked on the construction of the pyramids, suggesting that they weren't slaves after all. George Washington's cherry tree. The first president of the United States did not chop down his father's cherry tree when he was 6 years old and then refused to lie about it. The story has been used to highlight the value of honesty for centuries. The legend was put forth by biographer Mason Locke Weems, who was ready to supply the demand of Americans eager to learn more about the Revolutionary War hero. Salem witch trials. Those accused of witchcraft were not burned at the stake as a result of the Salem witch trials. Of the 20 people who were executed, 19 were hanged at the gallows, while another, an 81-year-old man, was pressed to death with heavy stones. Benjamin Franklin's kite. The polymath founding father of the United States did not discover electricity. Electricity had been well known at the time. Franklin was simply testing the electrical nature of lightning with his kite experiment. The Great Chicago Fire and the culprit cow. The 1871 fire was not started by Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicking over a lamp. The rumor started after local reporter Michael Ahern published a claim that the fire had started when a cow kicked over a lantern while it was being milked. Ahern later admitted he made up the story. Napoleon Bonaparte's height. Napoleon Bonaparte was not particularly short. He was approximately 5 feet 7 in, about 170 m, which was average at the time. The confusion likely arose as his height was listed at 5 feet 2 in, but there were differences between the French and British systems. Emperor Nero and the fiddle. Did Emperor Nero really play the fiddle as Rome burned? No, he didn't. In fact, the fiddle most likely hadn't even been invented until centuries later. But there is some support for the theory that Nero leveled the city on purpose. Columbus and the spherical globe Christopher Columbus did not prove the Earth was round. Educated Europeans had known that the Earth was round since the time of Aristotle. Galileo Galilei and heliocentrism. Galileo Galilei was not the first to theorize that the Earth revolved around the Sun and not other way around. The notion was actually first put forth by Aristarchus of Samos in the 3rd century BCE. The theory didn't gain traction until Nicolaus Copernicus' model in the 16th century. Vikings and their famed horned helmets. What do the horns on the helmets of Vikings mean? Nothing, as they didn't wear them. As the History Channel puts it, archaeologists have yet to uncover a Viking-era helmet embellished with horns. The popular image of the strapping Viking only came about in the 1800s when Scandinavian artists popularized them through their fictitious portrayal of the raiders. Alexander the Great and his mighty empire. Contrary to popular belief, Alexander the Great did not have the largest contiguous empire in history. The title goes to the Mongol Empire of the 13th and 14th centuries, which spanned from Central Asia to China, the Middle East, Korea and Eastern Europe, up to near Vienna, Austria. Alexander the Great was the largest of the ancient world, however. Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more myth-busting fun.